Oh boy, you guys! We're getting a 36-song Morgan Wallen album? I love needless filler that only exists to inflate streaming numbers. Don't you love it too? We live to consume products, not enjoy art. Oh, and we get another 13 songs on a mostly good but overall decent record? Yay, I'm so happy. Look, when I heard we were getting a deluxe edition of Flower Shops, I initially rolled my eyes like you'd expect the sadist I am to do. While I was somewhat favorable to the record, it inevitably felt overrated and my eagerness to revisit it pretty much fell flat. And getting more of that was not something I was looking forward to. Did we need this? Did anyone genuinely want it? I assumed it was gonna be another cash grab attempt to inflate streaming numbers like all these albums seem to be doing these days. It's not like this was a separate companion piece like what Luke Combs is doing, it's attached to the original. So I went in with rather low expectations of filler and repeating the same things the original did in lesser fashion, but Ernest genuinely surprised me. 24 Roses is not only a well-done expansion of the original album, but is now the definitive experience of this record. I can't believe my eyes. Ernest didn't just cash a check and mail in the cheapest result possibly to satisfy a quota. He went in to record a full-on improvement of his album. Better instrumentation, wittier writing, better hooks, the whole shebang. While also ditching many of the faults the original album suffered from. It's like the El Paso scenario all over again, except I could kinda see this was coming, just not on this scale. Let's talk about the steel first. So you know there was some super cool country phrasing on the OG Flower Shops, but many of these moments felt few and far between. While on this record, there's a forefront. Much of this record indulges these more traditional elements Ernest started to dabble in. Now that he has a sense of what to do, he can fully expand on it and make them the centerpiece and the direct appeal. With the success of Flower Shops thanks to Morgan, Ernest really proved there's a place for these sounds to thrive in for mainstream country, while also putting a modern spin to keep mass appeal. Many of the new songs are soaked in steel, even the more contemporary tracks, while also being able to encapsulate this imagery of a sunset on the coast. Something he attempted for a while, but now he seems to do effortlessly. There's an authentic beach rock tone to some of the most replayable tracks like Nothing to Lose, Wild Wild West, songs we used to sing, and even Unhang the Moon. There's imagery not just in the writing, but the musical and vocal performances. And the somewhat traditional feel of Flower Shops, the song, is nothing compared to how amazing some of these tracks are. What Have I Got to Lose, Heartache in My 100 Proof feel plucked out of the 1980s given a modern lens. And thematically, I think it shows a wider array of emotions from romanticism, heartbreak, and even humor. While I don't think Ernest's vocals have improved all that much, he's definitely giving a lot more emotion than he did before. And it also helps that these melodies are written with his specific vocal timbre in mind, so the weak performance doesn't stick out as much. Ernest is also quite creative with the storytelling, namely in Drunk With My Friends, which honestly feels like a musical track. It's a song occurring in the midst of a conversation, and the man it puts the whole Charlie Brown trombone adult thing to keep it flowing, which is already funny on its own, but it's also a bit smarter than you think. It establishes Ernest as this childish character talking to his significant other who is the adult or the mature one in the relationship. Sure, lyrically it's too stupid for its own good, but that one small detail balances the whole thing out. Also, it's a lot more conceptually driven and its story unfolds a lot more naturally with very little pacing issues. Nothing to Lose establishes Ernest essentially living his best life, claiming he lives like he has nothing to lose. And later on we get another song where he begins to realize, oh shit, he did lose something. The storytelling format of these songs is not only well defined, obvious, but progresses in such a clear-cut manner. Something I couldn't say the original Flower Shops did all that well. And it feels more conclusive with its story than Flower Shops. As a whole, color me impressed and especially surprised. 24 Roses is not just an improvement, which doesn't say much for the latest Chase Rice record, but actually a very good record. It has tasteful influences from acts such as Midland, George Jones, and establishes Ernest's own identity wholly separate from Morgan. A criticism of Ernest's last album I had a lot to say about. But here, he's taken his songwriting and refined it to the best it possibly could be, made this whole contemporary 80s fusion for his new identity, and expresses a unique personality unlike anyone on his label right now. It legit feels like Ernest has taken every criticism of Flower Shops to heart and attempted to improve it into the best possible result. Do the nursery rhyme portions blow? Of course. Do I still want to rip my hair out for annoyance from Joey Moy? Always. But this display of significant improvement and growth should be praised and admired. Most artists don't take criticism well, nor try to improve upon where their previous works failed, especially in Nashville where redundancy and sameness loves to thrive. I can say Ernest is not like that. He is an artist who is discovering who he truly wants to be and is on the verge of finding it. I went back into the original Flower Shops and into this one as well, and to be honest, I have no intention to return to it. 2 Dozen Roses feels like the new default way to indulge this era of Ernest. Sure, there's some great songs in the OG I'll revisit, but whenever I want to listen to Ernest in full, I'm going straight here. And I for one have high expectations for what he does next. Rating wise, I'm feeling a decent 7 out of 10. Really a 7.5. And I'd make it my new number 3 on my Big Loud ranking. Normally, I don't implore you to listen to records that are 7 out of 10, but please give this one a shot. We need to prove 80s country has a place in today's popular mainstream world, and this record absolutely proves that. If you have doubts about Ernest up to this point, that he's Morgan Wallen's lackey or the steel wasn't that impressive, let 2 Dozen Roses change your mind.